If you've ever felt your content land flat, if your board wants harder numbers, and if your channels are getting louder but not stronger, these next few minutes are going to give you some proper clarity. I'm Chris Norton and this is Embracing Marketing Mistakes, the place where we talk openly about when everything goes wrong in modern marketing and how to rebuild momentum when everything is in utter chaos. This episode, though, is a little bit different. Our annual social media trends event sold out weeks in advance, with more than 1,400 of you marketers turning up and giving us your views. And it was the liveliest, busiest session we've ever run. And the questions, the polls, and the reaction made one thing clear. The industry is at a turning point. In the next hour, Will and I are going to walk you through the shifts already shaping 2026. What's working, what's not working, and where brands are quietly wasting time. You'll hear the predictions that we got right last year, because we've been doing it for 12 years, and the ones we completely misread, because that is always entertaining. And the trends you will need to get ahead this year. Let's get into it. We've been doing social media trends virtually since COVID. So what's that, 6 years? And then before that, we were doing it for about 8 years before that. So we've been doing the state of social media for a long, long time, right from back in the day. And obviously a lot of things have changed. So we will get into it. But before we do, we'll just do a little bit of an introduction. So my name is Chris Norton. I am the founder and managing director at Prohibition. I'll go into a little bit about who we are and what we do, but I've been in social media since MySpace, Friends Reunited. Several of you won't even know what that is. But right back in the beginning when social media when it was called word of mouth marketing. And so I've always wanted to stay on top of what's new, what's coming, and what's evolving, so we can share those thoughts with you guys. And this is Will.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm the other owner at Prohibition. I'm going to do the second half of this trends deck. Interestingly enough, as Chris alluded to, this is consistently our most popular ever webinar every single year, and I'm sure everyone wants to know what's happening this year and what trends you need to stay on top of. At the end of this, actually, we're going to show you how you can stay on top of these trends, because it can be a little bit overwhelming at times in terms of staying on top of everything. But we hope you enjoy it and hope you find it valuable.
Yeah. Valuable is the key. So what we're going to try and cover in the next 50 to 60 minutes is we've got a couple of slides on us, don't worry. Then we're going to get into why trends are important. Then we're going to look at, amusingly, we do this every year, and you guys, I know, always find this amusing, where we talk about what we predicted last year and how close, because we've got about 40 clients, a lot of who we do social media for. And we use our team to predict what the predictions are based on data that we've got in-house. We've got a number of social media tools and AI tools that we've had bespokely built. Then we're going to get into, the trends for social media 2026. So, who are Prohibition? Well, we're basically based in Leeds. We are the biggest PR and social media agency in Yorkshire. We've got about 30 consultants. We worked from everybody here. You can see there's a few of our clients that we have worked with. So we did the social media content for University of Oxford for its 75th anniversary of its business school. So that was B2B thought leadership content a couple of years ago, right through to consumer social media for Goldsmiths, Watches of Switzerland, Cartwright and Butler, Primula, even Transport of the North, and Fentimans, the drinks brand. So we do social media for tons and tons of different brands and have done in the past. We also work with, we do a lot of content for Yorkshire Water. For those of you that are in the Yorkshire region, you'll know that's our local water provider. We also hope, Will and I also hope, this has happened in the last 2 months. So thank you to anybody who does actually listen to the show. We launched this show 2.5 years ago, and it as of this, in December, it went to number one and stayed in number one, in podcast for marketing. So Embracing Marketing Mistakes is our podcast. We've also got a YouTube channel, which is on about 7,500 followers, I think. It's at about 260,000 downloads. And Embracing Marketing Mistakes is a podcast. We do it weekly. So we do interviews with guests, and sometimes we do a little bit of our stuff that we talk about in the webinars. But it's like, and then we also interview people about the biggest mistakes they've made in their careers, and then we segment and share them every week. And people love the mistakes more than anything. And yeah, we reach about 750,000 marketers every year, so pretty good. We've got no sponsor. Prohibition sponsor it. So if you want to, if you know somebody who wants to reach a load of marketers, think of a good brand, let us know because we'd love to do that. And then how our business is split up, we've got sort of three departments. Obviously, I've just talked about podcasting, so that's content creation for brand. Obviously, in 2026, as predicted it last year, we'll come on to it. But B2B thought leadership, podcasting. Podcasting is still pretty prolific in content creation because it is the year of brand. It's going to be the year of brand. Brand is going to win the day, and you're going to see why. In the middle there, you can see performance PR. So we do what we call performance PR, which is about PR campaigns that actually deliver some sort of tangible business benefit. We measure everything down to the nth degree, but our job is to always sort of show a return on investment, whether that's in social or in public relations. So if you do a campaign with us, we try to show the business benefits, conversion, sales, whatever it might be, if it's B2B as well. So that's called performance PR. And then, strategy and insight. We'll come on to that because we do offer social media strategy and insight into all sorts of different bits and pieces. So that's us, really. Let's get into what trends are all about. So we've been doing this for, like I say, about 12, 13 years now. Why are trends important? Well, they've got several benefits. You can cut through the noise if you know what is noise, because there's that much stuff these days. TikTok, all the different channels, and you're just bombarded with the latest. You're bombarded with the latest product or tool that's come out. So, you want to be seen as leading edge. If you're on top of trends, you can drive efficiencies. You can improve your marketing impact. You can stay relevant by focus, and hopefully raise your own board visibility to the rest of the company by following the right trends and not just every old whim. And when we say every other whim, who remembers Clubhouse? Clubhouse was going to be the next big thing, or you can see a meerkat there and Vine. I'd say Vine's made a comeback with little loopy videos. It was going to be the next big thing. And actually, I think it was a little bit ahead of its time. But the key is investment, whether that's time, money, or whatever, versus return. So don't just embrace a trend just for the sake of it. It's to be clear, why are you doing what you're doing? Don't just launch a TikTok if you've not thought it through. Why are we doing what we're doing? Don't just do it because your competitors are doing it. You want to be different to everybody else. We had someone on the podcast the other week, and his whole strategy was be the pink Batman, which is basically something that stands out. And if you copy everybody else, you're not going to be the pink Batman. I never thought I'd get the words pink Batman into a statement, but there we go. So this is where Will and I can chat through something.
Yeah. What do we normally get right? About 80%, isn't it? I think.
No, you always say that. I'd say it's about 70. Well, let's go through it. Let's see what's the tick. So generative AI for content creation is what we predicted in 2025. Big tick, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Get ready for an X. Threads growth to plateau. Well, no. Blue sky to 200 million. No. We thought Threads was going to plateau. Threads being the Twitter comparison, X competitor, and Blue Sky to take off, but actually it's been the other way around. Blue Sky has plateaued, and Threads has taken. We knew one of them would, but it was the wrong way around.
It's about 40 million, I think, Blue Sky globally, which is nowhere near our prediction. So you've got a theory why this has happened, haven't you, Chris?
Well, yeah. Basically, I've seen various people saying that Blue Sky is one side of a story, so there's not enough debate in there. So it launched to a lot of, this is amazing, this is what Twitter used to be, which is what we did. It was about November a year before last, and everybody thought that's what it was going to become, but actually it just meant that it was people are saying it's one side of a conversation. Whether you agree with that, it's up to you. 2025 YouTube renaissance. Yes, I would say that's true. YouTube is still growing. It's still the channel for growth. I mean, the beauty of YouTube is it still serves. You can put a video on 3 years ago and it's still building you momentum and still growing. Unlike other channels that do well at the beginning and then fade, YouTube can start really slowly and then build. So, I'd say that's still going on. B2B branding exploding on LinkedIn. I mean, yeah, that's happening. Ridiculous. More and more and more content, like the podcast example I was just giving you. We share maybe a 5-minute clip of our podcast every week on LinkedIn, and it always does really, really well. The growth of micro virility, so like micro niche viral areas. What do you think, Will? Did that happen or not?
Um, yes and no. Yes and no. It's not been a defining moment of 2025, has it?
No. And then we've got outbound engagement, which is basically where you go out from the brand to engage with people instead of just reacting to people. There's a bit of that going on as
in definitely in consumer markets, we're seeing more of that, brands reaching out. But actually that dovetails with the trend that I'm going to talk about irrelevant leveraging of events. So I won't say any more on that.
Controlling the narrative, Brooklyn Beckham. We'll park that one there. No answer that.
That's a story we're all deeply committed to at Prohibition. Bring that one.
And then embracing creative disruption. There's plenty of creative disruption. So I'd say about 70% we got right.
On the creative disruption, actually, the Ryanair has just done a post today attacking Elon Musk, and it's just brilliant. They're doubling down on calling Elon Musk an idiot. They're doing an idiot discount. It's just absolutely brilliant and on brand and disruptive, and really caught my attention. So seek that out if you've not seen that so far.
So, what should we care about in 2026 then? Not Michael O'Leary. Well, first one, your first employee is an AI brand bot. So in November 2024, so just at the end, just almost in the beginning of last year, Google launched brand bots, which is if you're on a business profile, you can actually attach a WhatsApp to your business page. You know, Prohibition could have one, and you can use it as a customer service brand bot. What's happening is it's a chance for B2B brands to feel more human at scale because you can have AI at the front desk. So I know that HubSpot's done this because we tested it out, but you can have an AI tool learn particularly your business or your brand all about all the FAQs and everything, and then you can attach it to an inbox and it will reply for you properly and appropriately, you would hope, if you've trained it properly. But there's some good examples of that. It means you can scale. It's a smart way to build authority. Let the bot give fast, useful answers. It stops, humans having to do that work, and they can focus on the more difficult tasks. Points people to the right product of service and takes them to the next step. And if you get the tone of voice right, be crystal clear on what it can do and set a clear handover for when it gets to a certain point to a real person, you've therefore saved a bit of money. You've become, it's not like the old days of when you used to phone and the customer service was an automated response. Often people don't realize that these brand bots are brand bots now. I know that Octopus, their head of marketing, was speaking at a thing I was speaking at recently, and they'd improved customer service by something like 28% by using AI as part of the customer service process, mainly because it doesn't have an ego and doesn't get personally affected and gives a fair answer and is helpful. Often people don't like being criticized, and that can come across. So that's the first one. Second one, and there is a theme, there's quite a bit of AI in social media, but this is interesting. You've got Shrek here eating rice and crying into it. AI creates more of your feed than people do. Right, so whether you agree with this or like it or not, I know that there's various. Meta have launched an entire channel just dedicated to AI slop. We're basically in the era of AI sloptimization. It's just AI crap everywhere. But there's some quite cool AI content too, such as...
Street lights burning, see the smoke in the sky. I'm still dreaming bigger than the blocks I reside. Gold in my chain, but the weight's in the story. Every scar on my skin is a note in the glory. You feel me? Moonwalking.
There's a collaboration that you never thought you'd see. And then also there's cool AI like this. This is going to be massive on TikTok.
Quite a good song, isn't it?
Yeah, it's decent. I mean,
TikTok looms quite heavily over a lot of these trends, and actually TikTok is changing consumer behavior and influencing a lot of these. And some of the trends I'm going to talk through are driven, or certainly the human behavior is driven by TikTok behaviors.
Yeah. So what does AI slop mean for you and your brand? Well, content performance is about to get a lot more competitive. When everyone can publish at scale, whether you think it's better or not, originality and consistency are going to become the real talent. And we sort of come on to that. So creative you can become a system. So not just a one-off, you can build repeatable formats, like series of templates, recognizable edits, so you can ship fast without losing quality. I know, for example, like Copilot has got a brand kit section where you can upload your brand guidelines, and then every bit of content, you don't need a bloody artworker anymore. The artwork, it'll design it for you based on the brand guidelines, which is great for AI. Great for like scaling content, even for a small business. So the problem with this, though, is that if everyone's doing it, you need to stand out still, and you still need what I talked about before, which was, I'm saying it again, Will, the pink Batman. You need to be different. Turn trust into a differentiator. So yes, audiences will start rewarding brands that show provenance, cite sources, and declare on what AI is assisted. So what content is AI assisted and what content is created by humans. That's a big thing, because if I see videos now, I'll show it to my kids and they'll say, that's just AI, Dad, can't you tell? And some of it you can and some of it you can't, but we're going to come on to that because there's a bit of a situation going on with AI misinformation. So that's the second one. Third one, thousands of small brands can now run social, not websites. So there's businesses out there that don't even really need websites. You can sell direct. Social. We covered social commerce in 2024. Massive boom in social commerce, and I'm going to come on to live shopping as well. But social commerce is really exploding, even more and more and more and more. I know that to take it back to the AI side of things, ChatGPT's launched ads. It's literally testing ads in America at the moment on the free model. So be expecting that if you use the free side of things. But yeah, it means that you can you can sell directly through social media, including WhatsApp.
If you do not have the budget for a full-blown e-commerce website, that's okay. Because why do you want to make your customers download another app for shopping when they already have one? Let your customers shop where they already spend a lot of time, on WhatsApp. With the WebBiz catalog feature, your customers can easily browse through your products in the chat, add to cart, and also complete the purchase, all without leaving WhatsApp. Ready to sell smarter and not harder? Try WhatsApp catalog and make shopping seamless for your customers.
And that's going to happen on every channel. I mean, we know Instagram shopping and every platform you can pretty much buy direct now. The fact that you can shop through WhatsApp is getting bigger and bigger and bigger is interesting too. So social channels have turned into the shop front door. First impressions, credibility and clarity all come from your profile. Pinned posts and highlights if you share various bits and pieces. Sales conversion move to messaging. So treat WhatsApp and DMs like a proper funnel so people can engage with you. You get quick replies, clear links, pricing context, and a smooth handover when it gets quite complex. And you can make socials self-serve, so you can build content that answers the basics without any effort. So what you do, who is it for, proof it works, and how to buy. The beauty of social commerce is that people see a demo. That's what we all love, don't we? We love to see a product demoed, tested, what's good about it, what's bad about it, whether you trust their view or not, and then you can buy direct. It's just increased spending so much more. Add that to this, which is Google Lens, which is changing things as well. So Google Lens, which for those of you who don't know, on your mobile phone, so you get your mobile phone, you can literally do a search, and you top right, you can click on image search. So, and if you've not done it, test this out. But this is changing social spending as well. So Google Lens now processes 20 billion searches a month. So it's growing, with 4 billion attached to shopping. But only 10% of everyone else is currently using it. And the buying cycle has changed. So people are now searching straight from social. So to explain this, I took the family to Center Parcs the Christmas over the New Year's period. And my wife spotted this lady in Wellingtons that she liked. She said they're really cool. She said, is it awkward if I go over and say, excuse me, I really like your Wellingtons. Where did you get them from? I said, just take a picture of them. You can take a picture of them and then you can search for them. And that's what she did. And that is how simple it is. If you see anything these days, like the book, for instance, so you could literally take a picture if it wasn't blurred out. I need to turn my blur off. You could literally screen grab and search with Google Lens. It's really impressive, but it means you can. So if anything you're in a shop you want to see, it's so much better. And that's sort of giving birth to this as well. So live shopping is becoming the new QVC. So QVC, for anybody that's below the age of... Is QVC still around, Will, even?
It is, yeah. And actually some of our clients absolutely swear by it. There's been a bit of a resurgence, actually, in it. And it's... we work in the with a few clients in the kind of furniture and home furnishing sector, and they have huge success on it.
Well, there you go. I mean, yeah. So QVC, when I was a kid, I used to watch it just to see if you could buy stuff. And then basically, live shopping has become the new QVC. So live shopping events are achieving conversion rates of up to 30% compared to e-commerce averaging of 2 to 3%. So as I say, people are watching and then buying direct. It's because of the speed of sales. So on Black Friday, TikTok Shop was processing 27 items a second. That's just in the UK, 27 items a second. So if you don't think TikTok's a big thing in your sector, it's growing and growing and growing. And the demographic is moving as well. Yes, as I've got here. So 80% of QVC's customer base on TikTok is aged 35 or older. The spending power is coming from older demographics adopting the tech, not just the kids. So yeah, the age group on TikTok's moving as well. And volume, there are now 6,000 live shopping sessions just in the UK every single day. And the market is flooded with content, meaning that brands who are not broadcasting are effectively invisible during prime time. So if you can think of a way to do a live where you can sell product, great way to sell a consumer product. There's other ways you can do B2B as well, by the way, with live. We've done LinkedIn Live and all sorts, which is quite fun doing a LinkedIn Live. We've done these live as well. The growth spike, the number of active shoppers on TikTok Shop has jumped 131% in a single year. 22%, might be 22%, Will, of Gen Z are already using visual search. So yeah, it's really, really growing. So what does this live shopping and lens shopping mean for you? Well, live is becoming your best product page. People see it working, they hear the questions and answers, and they get the confidence to buy without bouncing all around a website. It's got an always-on feedback loop. So if you see something, you can feed back. You'll learn what people don't like, what they do like, what people care about, which benefit works best, all in real time. So people can tell you, a bit like a poll, actually. And treat it like a repeatable campaign. So one strong host, a tight format, clear offer, pinned links to buy products, and then repurpose the highlights into clips, ads, and email content that keeps selling after the stream ends. So there's real potential with that. So the next trend then is, this is where social media and PR combine. So I love crisis management. One fake clip, fake news, can become could undo a week's trust. It could actually undo a year's trust. It takes so long to build brand reputation and trust, and it can take a second to get rid of it. And the thing about what we're talking about here is deepfakes. And deepfakes have really come on from the Tom Cruise era when they had the fake Tom Cruise. I don't know if those of you remember that one from 3 years ago. That was with a guy that was SFX expert in Hollywood. He got this actor who was an impressionist for Tom Cruise, and they made him look amazing. But now deepfakes, you don't even need an expert in Hollywood effects. You can create deepfakes like this on your own channel in an hour.
Hello, I'm not a real person, and that's the point. In this video, we're revisiting a video we made a few months ago, this time with VO 3.1.
Artificial intelligence, or AI, can make fake things seem very real, just like everything in this video.
Evening. Tonight's show is all about how deep fakes are getting easier to create and harder to spot. But don't take our word for it. With us now live on the phone,
someone you may think you recognize.
Thanks for having me. Look, I wanted to come on Floyd Bishop's YouTube channel here and try to get the word out about how easy it is to fake things. Be sure to like and subscribe, by the way. It's super.
I mean, that video is class. I'll send you the link in when I do the follow-up. It goes on for like 6 minutes. And he just keeps going on about how easy it is to do. What I actually liked about that deepfake is then the two people that were deepfaked in the studio even looked awkward when they were waiting for Donald Trump. So even had that. The teeth were a little bit too white for me. So, but my point is, a believable deepfake can spread before your team even sees it. We've actually done some AI misinformation training. Actually, I'll give you a plug because we've got our next webinar is that one there. So if you want to register for that, that's on it. That's on AI misinformation, all about this area. But anyway, I'll get back to where I was. Sorry, I won't do that again, will I? That's just 2 secs. Click.
While Chris is clicking, we've actually done a podcast a few months ago with a guy called Ant Cousins on misinformation. And he argues that brands can't be reactive they should be reactive when it comes to misinformation, but they actually need to be proactive when it comes to tackling the threat posed by misinformation. So if you want a real deep dive into the topic, head to Embracing Marketing Mistakes podcast and search our back episodes.
Yeah, and our next webinar is on AI misinformation because we've done like special bespoke sessions on that. Oh, sorry, yeah, it's all right. So proof beats opinion. You need a habit of sharing verified evidence quickly. So original files, timestamps, behind the scenes, context, clear statements for named people. This is to help you against misinformation. Preparation wins the week, which is basically what Will said. Be ready and prepare. Set roles, monitoring, a simple playbook, build trust in the quieter moments so audiences give you the benefit of the doubt when something properly kicks off on misinformation. But like I say, we're going to have a whole webinar on that because it is a problem. You see more and more people getting hacked. You see more and more AI being used in nasty situations. And I think this is a thing that there is a burning passion for, which is how the hell do we avoid a real problem with all this stuff going out there when we're not in control of it? Which leads us to AEO or GEO. So AI answers become the new front door. So people don't click anymore, they ask questions. So what we mean by that is this.
When a douchebag like me gets on a podcast like yours and starts telling everybody how to game the system, they have to make an algorithm change. I started my career in SEO 20 years ago, and so I'm a proponent. I'm not here to just shit on an industry arbitrarily. I have a 10th grade education, okay, so I'm going to explain this like an idiot, and then somebody who's smarter than me can come and explain it in a better way. SEO has already experienced a degree of forced obsolescence. SEO is so beyond irrelevant that it's laughable. What ends up happening is the most important thing that you can do for yourself from an AEO perspective is begin to establish yourself as an authority. The LLMs are trying to, and this is the thing that's horrifying, it's actually really scary. They're not trying to deliver you the quote-unquote best information that's peer-reviewed, double-blind, scientifically backed. They want to give you whatever you want. It's horrible because the echo chamber we're about to build for humanity, it's inbuilt confirmation bias to a degree that will never allow for conflicting information. Like we're
so in terms of radicalization, this is probably a very dangerous thing.
Instantly, like the whole world is about to be instantly radicalized.
Yeah. But don't just listen to podcasts and people talk about it. This is fact. This is Mail Online's click-through rates dropped by 56% on desktop in 2025 and 48% on mobile. More than 50%, basically. That's the Daily Mail, the number one site for news in the UK. So it's happening everywhere. And search behavior is changing. So you can see here, I've just put an example. This is all due to this, which is AI overview, where you put into Google, who is the best PR agency in Leeds as an example. It says Prohibition PR. Whoa, we come up with, thankfully. But my point is that search behavior is changing. We're looking for if we want the answer in the AI overview, and we're asking different questions, much more specific questions. So what does GEO mean for you as a brand owner? Well, people are getting answers inside feeds. You're going to be able to, as I was saying with the ads in ChatGPT, you're going to be able to get ads in there as well soon. You're going to be able to buy directly without leaving the similar to social selling. You're going to be able to buy directly in the AIs. So you need content that answers your real questions fast with the point in the first line or the first 2 seconds of your content. you've got to be easy to quote. So use plain English, make specific claims, and back them up with proof-like stats. So examples, screenshots, or real results. So anything that you can do to back up what you're saying will help you, and it will mean that you rank better. So treat your socials like a knowledge base. Build your FAQs up, how it works, comparisons, and myth-busting bits and pieces. Then pin those to the top of each of your channels, and keep naming consistent, so your answers are easy to find and reuse. And you'll be amazed at how good the AI tools are at finding your different social channels these days and highlighting that. And that takes me to this, which is, if you want to know more about GEO, Will said that the social media trends is our most popular event. Actually, last year, this on par with that was our GEO event, which I've put here. We'll put in the deck, and we'll give you a link to it. But it's free to go and watch that back. But that is literally specifically what you can do and how you can handle GEO to make sure your business is optimized. And one little bit of sales we've got here, which is, if you don't have anything sorted on your GEO strategy on how you're appearing in AIs. We do what's called a GEO AEO audit, where we can audit your brand against keywords and terms and do a technical web audit of your site. And then we create a 12-month GEO strategy for you based on some technical stuff, and also how you can earn some links and content, and how you can optimize yourself, and then how you can measure your impact. If you're interested in that, you can book a chat with me for next week. Then that's there. That's fine.
Right. Influencers, one of our favorite topics. So micro influencers become your main media channel. Now, we have been talking about micro influencers for some time, but really this is reaching tipping point now. And I think obviously there's always going to be a role for the mega influencer with the kind of the premium polished glossy feed. And there's an awful lot of, mega influencers or macro influencers, whatever we call them. And that's great for kind of very large top of the funnel brand awareness, but brands are increasingly waking up to the fact that smaller creators are much more relevant and much more relatable. And actually there's a whole body of research suggesting that consumers rate relatability as one of the key factors in terms of which influencers they now trust. So they're less interested in things like, are you famous, have you got a massive audience? Interestingly enough, this kind of theme of micro influencers was one of the big talking points at Cannes Lions last year, and a lot of the brands at Cannes during some of the keynotes were showing data that made a case that much more specialized, authentic voices when it comes to influence actually outperform those broader influencers, and as such, micro influencers really became a big kind of talking point at the event. And I think when it's discussed at Cannes, it's pretty much reached tipping point. The definition of a micro influencer, I mean, it varies, doesn't it? 5,000 to 100,000. It depends on the sector, but we're not talking about millions of followers here. And I mentioned that kind of TikTok is increasingly kind of influencing a lot of these trends, and certainly TikTok has influenced this trend. TikTok's algorithm basically rewards engagement and watch time as opposed to follow account. So therefore, those kind of micro influencers with great engagement are the ones who are starting to outperform the macro influencers on TikTok. So what does this mean for you? Really, authentic voices are a really effective route to kind of powerfully amplify your message. I mentioned this idea that consumers want relatability. 40% want relatability, easy for me to say, relatability above expertise, fame, or followers, which is absolutely fascinating. It's a chance really to reach specific niche demographics, and depending what your sector is, it may be that you don't want to reach everybody with your message. I mean, it may be that your product is sufficiently interesting to a wide demographic, but in most cases you want to reach niche demographics, and really this working with micro influencers is a chance to do that. And again, the research suggests working with more niche influencers will outperform macro influencers in terms of engagement, conversion, awareness, and advocacy. And also they're a hell of a lot cheaper, if not free. And what the more forward-thinking brands are doing is turning that micro-influencer content and really kind of sweating it and turning it into a constant funnel. So you might produce some short-form content, and you can turn that into clips, into email campaigns, into owned content, website content, and essentially it gives you that ability to kind of have a much bigger footprint around your influencer work. And the reality is, often micro influencers are much more open to their content being used in that way. If you work with a macro influencer, you might have to sign exclusivity arrangement. You might have a clause where you can only use their content for 6 months, but a micro influencer tends to be much more flexible. We've actually taken this kind of micro influencer approach with a number of our clients. We work with Stockyard Park, which is a big North Yorkshire tourist attraction. They've got I'm trying to remember the PR line, the biggest indoor child's play centre in Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's decent. Yeah, we launched that a couple of years ago.
So we work with loads of micro influencers, and we use them to essentially show what the park's like, but we also use them from a kind of a conversion perspective, and we give them bespoke discount codes which they can then use. Idea, authentic content, micro influencers, 5 to 10,000 followers, and bearing in mind they're either very low cost or free. They on average deliver something like £5,000 to £10,000 in ticket revenue. So it shows the kind of the mega impact of working with somebody with a smaller audience, which sounds counterintuitive, but that's the way things are going. I'm going to talk about integration as well, and that's why I was quite interested in the fact that there's a very cheesy photo representing the trend there, but I was interested that kind of people didn't feel this was a big focal point, and I get it. I know we've been talking about integration forever, haven't we? But there's a number of quite interesting kind of micro and macroeconomic factors happening, which we believe is really going to drive this. So essentially, the economy is relatively stagnant, budgets are being cut, teams are more stretched than ever, and there's more and more board pressure for measurable business outcomes. At the same time as that, we're seeing the gradual kind of collapse of so-called siloed marketing teams, and that's one of the factors that are kind of causing things to join up. But more than that, it's the kind of the emergence of new technologies that we believe is going to drive integration. So you look at the rise in social search, for example, particularly driven by TikTok. So that's an immediate kind of merging of organic social media and paid. You've got in-platform purchasing, which again merges social with paid. You've got GEO, which Chris talked about, and GEO very much places PR at the center of digital visibility. And overriding all of that, you've got this big focus on return on investment. So all of these kind of technologies and platforms are starting to merge, and that's going to have an impact on the way teams are structured. So certainly from our perspective, we're seeing this happen more and more, and we're delivering campaigns that are genuinely integrated. So digital PR, traditional PR, SEO, paid media, all of which are operating together. They're using shared data and essentially delivering campaigns which have got a much clearer ROI. So from your perspective, essentially, what we're going to see more of, we predict, certainly from the way you work with agencies, the way you work internally, one joined up comms engine. So, PR arguably is the tool that builds credibility, social builds momentum, and paid drives that kind of revenue piece and scales what content is landing. And all of these things are going to be delivered seamlessly and together. From a PR perspective, we would encourage you to demand more from PR. I think long gone are the days of PR being a kind of slightly woolly, fluffy, intangible discipline. Any agency worth their salt in 2026 should be able to demonstrate hard business metrics from public relations, and that's certainly something we don't shy away from at Prohibition. So don't settle for vanity metrics, focus on business impact from everything you do, including PR. But by the same token, be open to the fact that PR is not just a siloed discipline. A modern PR agency absolutely should offer paid, should offer influencer, should offer this kind of technical know-how that links with GEO as well. And we believe there's going to be the kind of, the emergence of the big integrated idea. So, rather than lots of kind of siloed activities, this is the time to back one big creative idea that's fully integrated. Give it the budget, the partners, the time, and then measure it end to end, and it should deliver effective results for you. Keep the questions coming, by the way. I'm hoping Chris is answering lots of them. I had to answer about 500, so I want him to do his stuff.
Oh my god, yeah, I was going to say I'll let you keep going because I don't want to interrupt your flow, but I'm going to add them to a Q&A thing at the end for the best ones because people are answering some of them themselves. But thanks for everyone. Yeah, there's loads. I'm just it's good content.
Yeah,
keep going.
Coming.
Yeah.
So this hopefully will be a big sigh of relief for a few of you, but we believe, and this has been a long time coming actually, and certainly we've been seeing this in 2025 as well, but brands are going to stop trying to be everywhere all at once. I think if we'd had this webinar in 2006, and if anyone was in social media and PR in 2006, it was the opposite, wasn't it? We need to be everywhere. We need to be on absolutely every single platform. We need to reach out and in as many places as possible and publish as much content. But that's frankly exhausting. It's hugely time consuming. There's a lot of kind of team consolidation in-house, meaning it's just not practical to be everywhere all at once. And what we're seeing at the same time is what we call a social tiredness effect. So engagement is plateauing on major platforms. Users are getting more and more tired and aware of generic content, particularly the type of generic content that's published in the same way on 10 different platforms. People are tiring of this. There's more platforms than ever as well. So audience attention is more thinly than ever. And essentially what's happening, marketers are starting to kind of pull back on being everywhere, and they're actually kind of doubling down on those key platforms where their audience are, where they can make a real impact and where they can have a really kind of bespoke approach. And it's all about kind of prioritizing depth, authenticity, rather than kind of algorithm driven AI spam. And you'll see all of these trends are kind of linking with each other, and again, this kind of idea of AI slop, meaningless, irrelevant, generic content, people don't want that anymore. They'd rather have a real kind of community focus and quality content on a few channels. And it certainly makes our jobs easier as marketers. It's very much quality over quantity. So from your perspective, let's start to reconsider if we're spreading ourselves too thinly. Ultimately, unless you've got an enormous team, spreading yourself across 8 to 10 platforms is going to mean weaker creative. It's going to mean slower response times, lots of content, yes, but maybe nothing actually sticks. You're much better focusing on those kind of core channels. And certainly this is an approach we've started advocating with some of our clients, and some of our clients will, particularly in B2B, will just be on LinkedIn and will do LinkedIn really, really well. Great, thoughtful content, superb engagement. And that's really the where you're going to get the best results. And there's also this kind of, consumers increasingly want community as well as content, and those brands that have their kind of living, breathing communities, a little bit like the chat room here. There's lots of great questions. There's other people diving in. Me and Chris don't have to necessarily answer every question. That's a thriving community, albeit one that's an hour long on the podcast. But those brands that can nurture those type of communities have greater trust and have greater authenticity than those that don't. AI slop. That's a horrible term, isn't it? AI slop. We keep saying it, but it's definitely a thing, and there's more and more of it, and again, this is a kind of a running theme that's going through some of these trends. I mean, essentially, as Chris said, it's basically the new internet spam, isn't it? An overwhelming volume of shallow content that doesn't really mean anything and doesn't really achieve anything, and it's the sake of content. And the point is, we need to find ways to cut through from that. Consumers are starting to become aware of it as well, which is quite reassuring, actually. And I think people are starting to spot what is AI content. So only 26% of consumers prefer AI content, and that was 60% preferred it in 2023. So 2023, it's a bit of a novelty. People liked it. Less and less people are liking it. There's this shift back to genuine, authentic, real content. Only 59% of customers, or rather 59% of customers, say it damages their trust in a brand if they over egg the AI. There's also a premium attached to human-made work, and it's yes, it is sometimes hard to what's human and what's AI, but people have that intuition and they can spot it. when something doesn't quite ring true, so essentially, 42% of consumers say they would pay more for a friendly human service experience. 82% of consumers prefer speaking to a human, and the same is true on content. People prefer dealing with humans, and the same goes for brand storytelling, imagery. People want real stories, they want real authenticity, and it's hard to fake that. 88% of consumers say authenticity is a key factor when choosing a brand, and is the top driver of trust. And again, it's hard to be authentic if you're producing lots and lots of AI content. I talked about community as well, and community is one of those things that it is quite hard to automate, and it's worth the hours you put into building a community in terms of nurturing the community, commenting, engaging, managing that community. And there's a lot of value when it comes to authenticity, when it comes to trust, etc., that AI simply can't replicate. We're not anti-AI, by the way. We're absolutely pro-AI, but we need to be more critical about how we use it. And storytelling, again, asking AI to tell, to develop some storytelling narratives around our brand. Again, you can't fake that, and there's a whole body of research making that case. So, for example, emotional ad copy rooted in real human experience performs twice as well as rational logic-based content. So if you're producing ad copy that talks about human experience through AI, it's not going to perform well as if it's genuine and authentic. So what does this mean for you? Time spent on building community and nurturing community is time well spent. Unique stories and human crafted content should always play a role on your socials. Maybe there is opportunity for AI shortcuts in some cases, but in our view, you can't beat that genuine human crafted narrative and creative. And this is where purpose, I think, over the last few years, we've constantly talked about purpose. Brand purpose, genuine, authentic brand purpose starts to become more and more important in the age of algorithms. Trend jacking is out, genuine participation is in. I'm going to caveat this. The terminology trend jacking, we're not talking about kind of relevant reactive PR. We're still huge fans of that, as I'm about to explain. But what we're seeing, particularly on social, is lots and lots of brands leveraging every single event that they can leverage. And I think the Coldplay Kiss Cam story, that was a classic example. There was a couple of brands who kind of jumped on it, and it was quite funny, but literally every single brand, whether it's relevant or not, did a meme around it, and it was just quite tiresome and I've heard it described as quite cringy actually sometimes, and brands are desperate, they're so thirsty to be relevant, and they're jumping on absolutely every trend. The other thing was this the kind of the AI driven figurines, and literally every brand jumped on that, and it just becomes, I see brands doing this about a week later than when it actually peaked, and it just seems a little bit desperate. It seems a little bit you just wonder why on earth brands are trying to do this. And essentially what we're going to see more of, or we should see more of, is brands choosing their moments more and focusing on much more authentic events to leverage, more about long-term brand building. So the type of things that we love an in and out list here. So the type of things on our out list are opportunistic, forced or superficial participation in viral trends, as demonstrated here. And hopefully we're going to see more kind of meaningful brand aligned involvement. So is there a reason? Can you explain why you're leveraging a trend? If you can, is there a reason for your brand to be involved? Yes, then great, go for it. So communities can smell bandwagon posts. There's a great Facebook page called Condescending Corporate Brand Page, which basically names and shames brands that are just doing awful content. So beware, don't appear on that page. So if you're only showing up for the reach, people will clock it and will scroll on, and that will damage your algorithm and damage your engagement with your community. You should comment like a human. So, share useful opinions, collaborate with creators, think about value rather than just kind of leveraging, desperately leveraging trends, and have a simple rule, which we love. If you can't explain why your brand belongs in that moment, then don't post. And I think you look back on a year worth of trend jacking, and so many brands are involving themselves in absolutely every single trend for no apparent reason. I'll give you an example of what we've done with one of our clients, which we felt was super relevant and generated some great results. So we work with Prestige Gifting, which is a major online flower retailer. So on the left, you'll see the ONS every year release their list of the top 50 girls and boys names. So the top names got released. Mohammed and Olivia were top for the second year in a row. So on the same day, we quickly analysed the data because anecdotally we'd heard that floral names such as Iris or Lily, no doubt driven by Lily Collins in Emily in Paris, but floral names are increasingly rated on the list. And we basically analysed the list and we found about 7 floral-based names in the list. We then looked at the list over the last 3 years and found there's something like a 30% year-on-year rise in floral names making the list. So essentially, the same day, or near enough, we basically released our own chart of the top floral names based on the ONS data. And each floral name we then linked to further information and specific bouquets containing those flowers. So for a online floral company, super relevant. It got people to kind of engage more deeply with the brand. It was absolutely newsworthy and it flew through all the nationals, and it also linked to purchase. But we're leveraging this event as the floral experts, not because it's something irrelevant that we just want to hang our hat on. So an example of a really simple campaign where we leveraged something relevant and it drove great results for us. Okay, I'm on to the final trend. And this is the favorite, really. Nostalgia marketing. So this I don't know if anyone's watched Mad Men. Don Draper describes nostalgia as delicate yet potent, which I think is quite a good high drama description of it. But essentially, and the more we looked into this trend, the more I realized it's already started happening. But there's definitely kind of a nostalgia trend over the last 6 months that's been gathering momentum, probably driven by Stranger Things, which is hugely nostalgic and absolutely brilliant. The resurgence of vinyl records, handwritten notes, funnily enough, have started to make a comeback, but general retro vibes are kind of making a comeback. The Oasis reunion, of course, has driven this. And actually, if someone can explain it to me, this obsession with 2016 that is doing the rounds on social media and every brand's jumping on about, please in the chat explain this if you've got any insight. But we dug a bit more deeply into the kind of sociological reasons for nostalgia, and apparently during periods of uncertainty, so rising living costs, political instability, rapid AI driven change, people basically want reassurance and want stability, so they push towards cultural touchstones that feel stable and trustworthy. So arguably everything happening in the world is driving us towards simpler times, which may be in 2016. And also, at the same time as this, some of the algorithms favor nostalgia as well. So TikTok and Instagram reward content that spark emotional reaction or recognition, and often that comes from kind of nostalgic content. But the amount, certainly the Oasis reunion kind of captured the imagination, and every brand and their dog jumped on it. Aldi, which was the Manchester Aldi store, changed its name, a classic name-changing stunt, which we love. Coca-Cola started publishing its old 90s ads and have been getting great traction online. This is from Vogue. This is 2026. Why is 2016 trending? So a ton of kind of, and the more we looked into this, I realized it's already happened, and this is going to happen more and more and more. So from your perspective, what does it mean? It's comfort in a chaotic feed. So familiar references can cut through because people feel them more. But it's got to be done with taste and not laziness, and I think the brands that get it right are kind of remixing, making it their own in the way that Aldi, there's me as a southerner trying to do that. So not recycling, but being creative and updating the reference, and that's the crux of it. Essentially, you can become a content engine. You can have seasonal throwbacks. then versus now always works really well. And you'll see loads of these kind of trends and online and loads of brands doing the 2016 versus now kind of trend on social, albeit a little bit too late, because I think that trend has potentially passed. A bit of a recap. So your first ever employee is an AI brand bot. Again, AI weighs heavily on this. AI is creating a huge amount of content, more than real people do. Thousands of small brands run on social, not sites. This idea of live shopping becoming the new QVC, every platform is going to start doing that, and that's going to present huge opportunities, even if you're a small brand. Misinformation, definitely listen to the podcast and join the next event. But, a proactive approach is needed when it comes to misinformation. You absolutely need to be aware of GEO. PR content is a massive driver of that. GEO looks to trust factors like PR. And again, you can be proactive, and it's important you benchmark your brand's position. Micro-influencers, we talked about, cheaper, more effective, better engagement, better conversion than macro-influencers. Start to look at genuinely merging PR, social, and paid, particularly in creative campaigns. Focus your efforts on 2 to 3 platforms. Don't be on 20. Brands with soul will win the race. Be aware of what you're trend jacking and embrace nostalgia. So 12 trends, 70% are going to be right. We will see. We'll see you in 12 months.
Yeah. Again.
So we have got a product. Hopefully you're looking at this thinking, oh God, I need to be doing GEO. I need to be doing this. I don't know where my brand is. So we do have a product which will absolutely help you make kind of clarity, help you make the right decisions, understand which trends are relevant for you, look at how you can roll them out. And it's called Prohibition Social 360. And essentially it's a way to take all of this data and information and behaviors and trends and turn it into a strategy. So we will audit your brand, we will audit your sector, we will look at what your consumers are doing, their changing behaviors, and essentially take all of that data and help you use it as a springboard to dominate your market. So it's insight and a 12-month roadmap, which basically we talk about outperforming and outsmarting your competitors. And we've delivered tons of these for our clients as a strategy in the box. But time and time again, we see our clients delivering a 360 for our clients. It gives them that real focus for the year, and they get higher engagement and they get better ROI from that. So if you want to talk about that, let us know. It's literally a kind of a 2-month project, quite competitively priced, but it's a line in the sand that lets you kind of build on that and like we said, embrace some of these trends and supercharge your performance. So yeah, book a chat if you'd like to find out more about that.
We'll see you at the next event, which is AI Misinformation. So we'll catch you later. See you later, guys.